Well, he's originally from Hollister, California, but he now calls Modesto home. Driver of the number 75 Dan and Cindy Mini, as well as number 7C Cody and Mandy Gainey own sprint cars. Tony Gomes is next on Getting Up to Speed. This broadcast is brought to you by Meat Freaks Jerky Club. Get the best jerky the world has to offer straight to your door by visiting meatfreaksjerkyclub.com. Pick your box and plan, tell them where to ship, and receive and enjoy. Log on to meatfreaksjerky.com and use promo code SPEED for 10% discount. Hello, I'm Ben Dethridge, and I'm the host of Getting Up to Speed. We talk to sprint car drivers from the Pacific Coast, whether they race in Oregon, Washington, California. If they run it, we're going to talk about it. Also branch out a little bit, as well as drivers that perhaps are from here that race elsewhere, or some drivers that come in and try and take some money from the West Coast. In these episodes, we talk about past experience, past seasons, as well as upcoming races, as well as how's the season going. We hope you enjoy these episodes. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps us out. And stay tuned for more and more content. Now let's get into the interview. Well, here he is. He is going to be driving two different cars this year. He's going to be driving for Dan and Cindy Mini, the famed number 75 entry, as well as the potent 7C for Cody and Mandy Gainey. It's Tony Gomes. Tony, great to have you on the show, and hoping that we can spread some good news for you and what you guys are cooking for 2023.
Absolutely, Ben. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited for 2023 to be back in the 75 full time, and then take on a more heavier schedule this year at the 7C. I think last year we did, I want to say around 15 shows, but this year probably going to double that out. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a good year with both Dan and Cindy and Cody and Mandy. I'm really looking forward to it. Have
you guys really narrowed things down to what you want to focus on, or is just kind of open for anything?
Well, last year Dan and I did the Sprint Car Challenge Tour with the 75 car. And ultimately, that's just a lot of travel going on, you know, and this year's SCCT schedule doesn't really feature a lot of double races, if you will. So for Dan, it just kind of makes more sense to stick closer to home. So with the opening of Douglas County, we're going to run all the races there, all the 360 shows. Also some races at Cottage Grove, like the Marvin Smith. Get to go to Medford. That was a track that Dan did really well at when he raced. So I'm looking forward to going there with him and kind of picking his brain on how to get around there good, and hearing some good criticism from him on what I'm going to be able to do to go fast around there. And then we're looking forward to going up to Skagit for the Summer Nationals. Dan and I last weekend of July. That's going to be a really fun weekend. I really enjoy going to Skagit. And then we're going to do the Western Sprint Tour Speed Week in August. We'll follow that from Cottage Grove all the way down to Placerville. And then looking forward to the Western States Finals at Roseburg later in the year, and then Fall Nationals. So more of a, Northern California, Oregon schedule with Dan. Obviously the trip to Skagit in there as well. But kind of got to focus on staying closer to home with Dan. I think that'll be something that he's going to enjoy. I'm definitely going to enjoy it too, getting to go to some new tracks, and just really looking forward to getting back to racing with Dan again this year.
Well, something that's really cool, and you may have to mention this to Dan next time you see him. One of the first times I remember ever seeing Dan Mini race in a sprint car was the one year in 1995 that they went to dirt at Roseburg at Douglas County. So it'll be cool to see the red 75 back there.
I'm really looking forward to it. Dan and I, we, like you said, next time I see him and I talk, it feels like, 100 times a week. It's obviously exaggerated, right? But,
sure.
We spend a lot of time on the phone, and I feel like, last year, I started talking to him end of 2021, and it seems like between late 2021 and, here we are beginning of 2023, him and I have had countless number of phone calls. And I guess what I'm trying to say is just that communication and being able to race with the guy and, just have that connection with someone, outside the race car, and being able to talk to him and pick his brain on the things that he's learned in racing over the years, whether it be driving or, the things he does mechanically with setting up the car and racecraft. I just think that ultimately shows in the results that him and I have been able to put together. Looking forward to hopefully bumping up that win count this year. I feel like we had good speed last year, but want to, do a bit better of a job so we can get some more wins. I'm just really excited for 2023.
Sure, absolutely. And how did the pairing come up between you and Dan and Cindy in the 75 car?
So, I mean, the best way I could put it is that I felt like I was kind of at one of the lower points, I guess you could say, so far in my career. And I was I went from a point where I was bouncing around. I didn't have a full-time ride. And I didn't really have a home base, if you will. And Dan and Cindy were, I knew they were kind of looking for a driver, or, I remember seeing posts they were selling out. I wasn't really sure. And I had reached out to Dan a couple times, from middle of 2021, I should say, and just kind of said, hey, if you're looking for a driver for a race, let me know. And I guess take a step back a little bit. I saw Cindy at a race in Placerville in 2020, and I was still, I didn't have a full-time ride then even. And so I had known that they were, they didn't have a full-time driver, right? And I talked to Cindy at Placerville. And I just said, hey, if you guys need a driver, please let me know. And she gave me Dan's number. So I had his number for a while, but it finally ended up, December of 2021. I shot him a text one day. I was on the road with my mom. We were going somewhere, and I was talking to her, and I was nervous to send the text. And it's crazy now to think that how much him and I talk. But
sure.
I ended up texting him. I said, hey, this is Tony Gomes. I'm, looking to do looking to find a ride and just kind of see what, see if you want to do a schedule or something like that. And he texted me back and he said, yeah, we'll talk later on. And later that night, we talked on the phone for what I want to say was about an hour and a half. And the phone call ended, and he goes, you can count on driving for me next year. And I just remember that feeling, like just that relief, and excitement all kind of paired together. Like I remember looking over at my mom because I had my headphones in, and, she looks over and she could tell the call ended. I was like, well, I got a ride for next year. And just the raw, excitement was super cool. So to see how, here we are about a year and change later, to be back in that car, it's a good feeling, and just really happy to be the one driving that red 75.
Well, in 2022 was a pretty good year for you guys. You finished second in Sprint Car Challenge Tour points, got 2 wins, 5 podiums, 8 top 5s, 19 top 10s, and 26 360 starts. I mean, you guys definitely gelled really well with each other. Yeah,
I mean, and like I said a little bit ago, I think that kind of all ties into how much him and I stay in contact, and even when we do talk, it's not all just about racing, talking about life or anything in between, right? And we get along well. He's taught me a lot about kind of how to tune a race car, and him and I just seem to always kind of be on the same page. And I think that that shows in the results. And he gave me a shot to get back in the seat consistently last year, and I couldn't be more grateful. I had a lot of fun. We had a good run at Petaluma in June and got a win. Had a lot of just good, strong runs against some good fields as well. So, just thankful to be driving that car. It's crazy to think about because, for the longest time, I watched that car when I was younger growing up, and then obviously racing against it for a long time as well. And to now be the one that's driving it, I'm real thankful for the opportunity, and just look forward to make the most of every time on the racetrack.
Well, your 2 wins came, one in a local show at Placerville and the other one in an SCCT show at Petaluma Speedway. At Petaluma, you guys were really solid, 100% right. As far as starts were concerned, based off production of top 10 finishes. Only finished off the podium and outside the top 5 once at Petaluma. And then Placerville, you guys weren't that bad either. 8 total starts, 6 top 10s, had a couple top 5s, and that one podium resulted in a win.
Right. Last year we kind of split up the race, I split up the races between at Placerville with, I want to say, did you say 8 races? Was that total?
8 features at Placerville that you started.
8.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we had a couple in the 75, and then the rest were in the 7C. And the win at Placerville in July, winning the 40 with Cody and Mandy, that was just so cool, because there's there's a lot behind that. You know, it took a long time for me to finally click off that win at Placerville. So to get in victory lane there and celebrate with Cody and Scott and Bobby Bumgarner, that's just something I'm never going to forget, man. That's a really cool win for me and the 7C team, and you know, just a huge sigh of relief to finally get it done there.
And the 7C team has been a major component in your career. I think the first time I met you at Marysville in 2017-ish, you were driving for Cody and Mandy.
If that's the race I'm thinking of, I never got to drive the 7C at Marysville, but my family, my mom and my dad, we had our own car, and we were kind of beginning our relationship, I guess you could say, with Cody and Mandy, and we ran the 7M. So that was actually our family car. We just renumbered it for 7M, obviously, 7C for Cody, and then 7M was Mandy. It was kind of like a teammate deal, but obviously the middle of that year, they ended up going with me full time in the 7C car, and we raced together for a while. And you know, they were really the key tool, you know, and they were the people that gave me my big break and gave me the opportunity to get in a race car and, you know, spread my wings and get a lot of experience on different tracks and stuff like that. So they're like family to me, and to be back in their car, you know, to get back in it last year and have a good run, multiple good runs, I guess you could say. And then to be back in it this year, it's just really cool. You know, I'm just so thankful to have two really awesome corners between Cody and Mandy and Dan and Cindy. So it's just really cool. You know, both teams mean a lot to me, and it's just really exciting to have a big year on the forefront.
And how tricky is it to drive for two different car owners? Do you have to use different language, different communication terms, or is it pretty streamlined?
I feel like it's pretty streamlined. You know, I like to think that the things I learn racing with Cody and the things I learn racing with Dan, I can kind of intertwine them, you know, to overall, you know, just build that communication level, because I feel like that's what makes a good driver, someone that can go and work with, you know, different people. You know, thankfully I only have to work with two, you know, and I feel like what I learn with them, I'm able to, you know, soak it all in and use it. So if I'm in the 75 or if I'm in the 7C, you know, the communication I can give to either Dan or Cody is just good communication. You know, not getting out of the car and complaining and whining or something. You know, it's just, you're working together. You know, you're ultimately your team. And like I said, pretty streamlined. Things I learn on both ends, I try and tie in. You know, you obviously don't want to get out and be like, well, hey, so and so does this and so does that. But you know, just it's all in how you present it and work with the guy. And obviously, it's their race car, and you know, you want to show respect and just do the best you can to work together and go fast.
Yeah, no doubt. And one of the things I like to ask about drivers, especially in the off season, what are things that you like to do occupying yourself when you're not in the race car racing or not working on the race car? Is that pretty much kind of all you find yourself doing, thinking about race car things?
Right. Well, unfortunately, I'm far. I wouldn't say far, but you know, Dan lives about 5 hours and change away from me, and Cody lives a couple hours away, or Cody and Manny live a couple hours away. So it's there's times where I'll go up with Cody and we'll do some race car stuff, but for the most part, that didn't really start until a couple weekends ago. I feel like everyone wanted to kind of enjoy their off season, so I got to do a little bit of racing. I guess post sprint car season, you could say, and did the sprint car at Turkey Night, and had some speeds that didn't go like we had hoped. We got into some bad luck, and same with the Chili Bowl. Did a little bit of racing there, had speed, just it didn't go to plan. So there's stuff I did get to do that didn't involve racing during what I want to call my sprint car off season. Was fun. I got to go to Cancun with a couple good friends and celebrate a buddy's birthday, and went to Disneyland, and then went to Scottsdale for my cousin's birthday a couple weekends ago, and just ultimately making the most you can of the off season, because that only lasts so long, and have fun, I guess, in a different kind of way, and then get back to business here in a few weeks and really having fun competing and trying to get some wins.
Oh, no doubt. And, kind of doing, I don't know what you would say, you would categorize as normal people things, but just kind of
Right.
something to change the gears a little bit. But, was the Yucatan pretty good in Cancun, the weather wise and everything?
Yeah, I talked to Dan. Surprise, surprise, right?
Yeah.
Before I went, and he's been down to Mexico a few different times over the years, and he kind of told me, 'cause I looked at the weather and I was like, oh man, it's supposed to storm. He's like, oh no, that's kind of standard operating procedure, right?
Sure.
And turns out, it would rain or like kind of thunderstorm at night, right? But it was really cool, man. I had never been out of the country in that direction. I've been to Canada, racing with Doug Roots and stuff like that.
Sure.
And that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. But to go to a different area, the farthest east I've ever been, way, way far from home,
Yeah.
it was cool. It was a good experience. Just something different, and to have good company there as well. That was really fun, and celebrated a good friend's birthday, and we had a good time.
And Disneyland didn't disappoint, I assume?
Oh no, Disneyland's always a good time. I think that was my third time, and I got to go with my cousin and a good friend of hers, and her sister, and just had a really good time. We were thankful enough to get in for free. We got the free passes. We got the hookup from a good friend of my cousin's, and that was a good time. So free passes in Disneyland and going to check out some of the cool new stuff was a good time.
Oh man, that's like the ultimate hookup is if you got somebody that works for Disney and they can get you free park tickets. That's
Yeah.
that's top shelf right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's and you look at the park prices and stuff like that, and how much it costs to get in now. It's like, holy smokes, you're if you can get in for free, that's like a golden ticket. So that was a good time. Something different. I hadn't been to Disneyland since 2020. We actually got to go a few years back, right before COVID hit, with JJ Hickle and
Oh,
Justin
okay.
Cox and I and
Yeah. That was
Rod
the whole
Tyner and
was that
Pat.
the whole
Yeah,
Ivan Warden trip, right?
yeah, that was Jane promised us a trip to Disneyland.
Yeah.
We're her Disney boys, so
Yeah.
that was a good time. It had been a while
Sure.
since I'd been down there, so it was fun to, like I said, check out the new stuff and be a kid again for a day, and
Yeah. Yeah.
go geek out over Star Wars and check out Cars Lane and all that. So it was fun.
Yeah, no doubt. We went in October after Trophy Cup, and it was different. It was different from what I was used to, like the BC before COVID area. But I mean, it
Right.
still didn't disappoint. It's still magical.
Exactly. I mean, hey, like you mentioned Trophy Cup. That's like my Disneyland.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's magical. Like
Yes.
you just have so much fun.
Yes. Well, speaking of Trophy
Yeah.
Cup, are you guys planning to run that? And when I say you guys, I guess you. And have you zeroed down on which car you're going to drive?
Yeah. So Cody, and Mandy and I are going to do that race again this year. Ever since the end of that feature this year, man, that's been dead set on my mind. You can't overthink something like that, right? Or get hyper focused on it. But that's one that I'm really looking forward to getting back down there again here in about 8 months time or so, and get back down there and hopefully be on the better end of it, I guess you could say, and not make the mistake of plugging thing in the fence with 5 to go.
Yeah. Scratch that one on the to-do list. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, no
So
doubt.
it'll be good.
And that race is just so, I guess, and I don't mean this in a negative way, like insane is the only way I can describe
Oh yeah.
it. It's I wouldn't say all luck because you have to have a lot of skill involved, but you just have to have all the stars align, all the breaks go your way.
Absolutely. I ran that thing about a handful of times now, and it always seems like the cream rises there. And with the guys that have won it over the years, Tim Kading, Shane Golobic, the list goes on, right, of guys that are good. There is no way of fluking into a Trophy Cup,
Sure.
whether, however you do it. If you win it, that's an accomplishment. And, that's a race that, that one means a lot to me. And I hope to one day add my name to the list of guys that has won that deal. It's a grueling 3 days. Things got to go your way.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to time in right, heat race good. It sounds easy to say. Oh yeah, you got time in good, heat race good. It's easy to say, and main event good, obviously. But putting all 3 nights together, and prime example is Shane. He's done it. I think he's won it 3 times now.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But he, kind of, that's someone that you look at and you're like, damn, like that's how you get it done. I have a lot of respect for Shane and the guys that have, been able to win that race multiple times, because that's not just a, one night, shebang. Like that's 3 nights of being on your A game every time you hit the racetrack. So, kind of try and model what I do after that and, do my best to hopefully do it one day like they have.
Well, that was actually going to be one of my next questions is you won the Mark Forney Classic at Placerville. Very high paying race, but it's not about the pay, it's the prestige of winning that race. Are there any other things on your radar that you'd like to accomplish and tick off? Obviously I'm sure all of them, but I mean, anything that stands out.
Let's see, I'm looking at my schedule here. There's a race that I'm really looking forward to in May at Cottage Grove, the Marvin. 2 years ago, or 4 years ago now, man, that's crazy to say. I was in that race and was leading the dash and had an incident where something came apart. And anyway, there's an oil fire, and I ended up not being able to win the dash and started 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up running 3rd in that main event. And that was really cool. Super rough track, right? Just little things didn't go our way.
Sure.
And ended up, running 3rd. And my teammate at the time, Justin Cox, won. So that was really cool. That's a race that I'm looking forward to getting to this year. I'm just going through my schedule here. Let's see, the 4th of July race at Placerville is one that I really look forward to. That's one I really want to win. I think winning the 4th of July race would be really, really cool. In the 7C, kind of, the American flag team, that would be really, really cool. The Summer Nationals at Skagit, that's one that I'm really looking forward to. I love Skagit Speedway. And that's a high paying race. And that's another one that, 4 years ago had a solid run at, ran 4th, I believe. That's a good one. And then one that hits home for me, besides Trophy Cup, just another race, I guess you could say, that I can remember going to growing up. The Trophy Cup's one of them, but the Johnny Key at Watsonville is one that I'm going to have, circled on my radar pretty big. Going to Watsonville, that's where I went growing up, right? And the Johnny Key was the race to win. Like I remember running out of my 2nd grade class, in 07, going to just stoked to go to the races to go watch the Johnny Key, and vividly remember Jason Statler winning that night. So stuff like that, that I can kind of tie into growing up as a kid, going to and watching, and then be able to go race it now. It's, it's like coming full circle and living a dream. So those are a few that I'm really looking forward to. Kind of scroll further down here. Fall Nationals at Silver Dollar is, I guess you could say, one that I really, really want to win too. Like you said, you want to win all of them, right? But that's those 4. Steven Allard was a big role model of mine when I was younger, and I can remember going over to the races at Tulare and talking to him and Watsonville and all that. And he was always cool to me, and just always took the time to talk to me. That's something I always remember. So, Fall Nationals being a tribute to Steven, that's a big race that I'm looking forward to, and that's backed by the Trophy Cup. So come October, really gonna have your A game on with some big races coming up at that time.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely some good picks there. I think I remember that Cottage Grove one. It rained out the night before. And It was just a deluge all day, all night, and it took them all day just to roll the pits in. And it was a bring your mouthpiece and a case of Advil with you kind of night, but got it through. Yes.
That's for sure. I mean, I remember when I got there, because I ran Stockton the night before in the 7C, and I wasn't going to run the first night, but it got rained out. But I had the plans to get on the plane and fly into, I think it was Eugene on Sunday morning. And anyway, flew up there for that race, and I remember getting to the racetrack, and I'd never been to Cottage Grove, so I'd never seen the place till I got there that morning. And I remember getting there, and I was like, what is going on? Like, were you going to race here or
Yeah.
what? And I remember that was the first time, I believe, I'm sorry to Heather if I got this wrong, but I think that was the first time I met Heather Boyce and, met everyone from the Cottage Grove Speedway, and just super great people. And the amount of work that they put in that night to get that race in was really cool. And to be able to run on the podium, I know Cox won, and I want to say Sanders ran second. So it was a California podium, and those are some good memories. And looking forward to getting up there again this year. 4 years later, and hope that the weather plays a little bit more nice, I guess you could say.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I think Sanders was driving for Willie Kane, I think, for that one time. Yeah,
that's right. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good memory, I guess that was a good time. So like I said, looking forward to getting back this year.
No doubt. Well, before we let you go, this has just been such a pleasant interview. Is there I guess first of all, your race schedule, any team news, any sort of like if there's apparel runs with your teams, what's the best way for folks to track that down?
So I have some, as I look over here in my office, I have, some 75 shirts. I want to say right there sitting for only about 10 of them. So we're pretty sold out, pretty close to being sold out, I should say. You can contact me direct through Facebook or anything like that if you're looking for merch. I'm looking to get some new stuff done. Kind of just have to talk to Dan and Cindy and then Cody and Mandy, kind of try and intertwine everything and figure out what we're going to do there. So for merch, you can contact me direct if you want to keep up. You can follow Many Motorsports on Twitter, follow me on Instagram or Twitter, anything like that. It's Tony Gomes _99. Just thankful for anyone who wants to follow along with the journey, and looking forward to a fun 2023 season.
Awesome. And anybody that you want to thank specifically that's gotten you to this point, or that you'd like to thank right here in the now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the people that drove me to not drove me, they supported me. They didn't force me to do anything growing up with my parents. They're real big factors in me growing up racing and giving me the opportunity to, live my dream as a kid pursue being able to live my dream now. Thank my parents, thank everyone that I've driven for over the years. I feel old saying that, man.
Yeah.
I've driven for some really cool people. Annette Van Laer and Jim Van Laer in the 5V, Rich Rosser and Shawnee in the 23 car, Ivan and Jane Warden in the 63 car, JFM in the 73 car. I apologize if I'm forgetting anybody. I'm just thankful for anyone. Doug and Kathy Roots, of course, in the 8 car. Anyone that's ever given me an opportunity to drive their race car, or just be a part of their team, whether it's straight promote or anything growing up. It's been a pleasure, and just thankful for every opportunity I've gotten. And obviously now with Cody and Mandy in the 7C and Dan and Sydney at 75, it's just a big team effort, I guess you could say. And I'm just really, really thankful for all my sponsors, family, friends, car owners over the years. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to creating more memories and hopefully win some more races.
Well, it's been a pleasure on my end here to have you to take the time and do this interview, and thankful that you got a chance to do this, and really looking forward to seeing you in 2023.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you at the track, huh?
Yes. It will be very soon, I hope. So.
Yes, I sure hope so, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care, and we'll be checking in with you throughout the course of the season as well.
All right. Sounds good. Hopefully talk to you a few times about the wins.
No doubt. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this latest episode of Getting Up to Speed with me, Ben Dethridge. We hope you enjoyed this program. We hope also that you hit the subscribe button and the like button, as that really helps things out, spreads things out. Be sure and share as well on social media so that more people can listen to these great interviews and from these great drivers. Getting Up to Speed is a production of Highside Racing Promotions. For more information, you can check it all out on Facebook at Highside Promotions.